Good evening and welcome to Daily Bible Kids. Yes, we are a little bit late in case you didn't see my message before. Kids had Club G today, which is kind of like a vacation Bible school. It happens every day or every Wednesday. I have volunteered myself to help out with the kids' ministry for it. It's every Wednesday and every first and third Wednesday. After that, I have a Masonic meeting and won't be home until about 9 o'clock, no later than 9, so that way we can be on about 9:30. I know it's late, so we only have 2 chapters, and you guys will be able to go to bed and enjoy your night, okay? So today we are reading chapter 28. We just left off with Jacob fleeing to Paddan Aram because, screwed his brother over a little bit. And,
More like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess a little bit is exaggerating, isn't it? So, alright, chapter 28. So Isaac called for Jacob, blessed him, and said, "You must not marry any of these Canaanite women. Instead, go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of your grandfather Bethuel, and marry one of your uncle Laban's daughters." Wait, I'm sorry. We already read this, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We're at 29 and 30. That's my fault. 29.
Okay.
So as you said, as we just read, going off to Paddan Aram. Well, this time Jacob arrives at Paddan Aram. 29. Then Jacob hurried on, finally arriving in the land in the east. He saw a well in the distance. What's a well, Colin?
There's a well and there's water in it, and then it can be called a wishing well or just a well.
No. I was just asking, I know, you know what it is, but I'm just asking Colin, because he's young and whatnot. I wanted to make sure he knew what a well was. Yes, it's a hole in the ground that leads to a reservoir of water that's built up underground, and you have access to it. Okay? So, arriving in the land in the east, he saw a well in the distance. 3 flocks of sheep and goats lay in an open field beside it, waiting to be watered. But a heavy stone covered the mouth of the well. It was custom there to wait for all the flocks to arrive before removing the stone and watering the animals. Afterward, the stone would be placed back over the mouth of the well. Jacob went over to the shepherds and asked, "Where are you from, my friends?" "We are from Haran," they answered. "Do you know a man there named Laban, the grandson of Nahor?" he asked. "Yes, we do," they replied. "Is he doing well?" Jacob asked. "Yes, he is well," they answered. "Look, here comes his daughter, Rachel, with the flock now." Jacob said, "Look, it is still broad daylight, too early to round up the animals. Why don't you water the sheep and goats so they can get back out to the pasture?" "We can't water the animals until all the flocks have arrived," they replied. When we getting a bit sleepy. Then the shepherds moved the stone from the mouth of the well, and we watered all the sheep and the goats. Jacob was still talking with them when Rachel arrived with her father's flock. For she was a shepherd. And because Rachel was his cousin, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and because the sheep and goats belonged to his uncle Laban, Jacob went over to the well and removed the stone from its mouth and watered his uncle's flock. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and he wept aloud. He exclaimed to Rachel that he was her cousin on her father's side, the son of her aunt Rebekah. So Rachel quickly ran and told her father Laban. As soon as Laban heard of his nephew Jacob had arrived, he ran out to meet him, He embraced him and kissed him and brought him home. When Jacob had told his story, Laban exclaimed, "You really are my own flesh and blood." After Jacob stayed with Laban for about a month, Laban said to him, "You shouldn't work for me without pay just because we are relatives. Tell me, how much should I pay you? How much should your wages be?" Now, Laban had 2 daughters. The older daughter was named Leah, and the younger one was Rachel. There was no sparkle in Leah's eyes, but Rachel had a beautiful figure and a lovely face. Since Jacob was in love with Rachel, he told her father, now this part, really listen, okay? Colin, you listening? You sure? All right. So Jacob was in love with Rachel, and he told her dad, "I'll work for you for 7 years if you give me your daughter Rachel, your younger daughter, as my wife." Okay? So he's trying to plead with his dad, with her dad. And I'll work for you for 7 years. Let me marry your daughter. Okay? "Agreed," Laban said. "I'd rather give her to you than anyone else. Stay and work for me." So Jacob worked 7 years. How old are you, Colin? 7 years old, right? So the moment he was born until his 7th birthday, that's how long he had to work in order to marry this woman that he absolutely loved. Okay? That's all he had to do. As soon as he hit 7 years old, boom. Yeah, you can marry my daughter. So he worked for the 7 years to pay for Rachel. But his love for her was so strong that it seemed to him but only a few days. So yeah, it was, Colin, it was 7 years, but to him, he was so in love with her that it only felt like a few days. Okay? Finally, the time came to marry her. "I have fulfilled my agreement," Jacob said to Laban. "Now give me my wife so I can sleep with her." So Laban invited everyone in the neighborhood and prepared a wedding feast. But that night, when it was dark, Laban took Leah to Jacob and slept with her. Laban had given Leah a servant, Zilpah, to be her maid. But Jacob woke in the morning. It was Leah! It wasn't Rebecca! "What have you done to me?" Jacob raged at Laban. "I worked for 7 years for Rachel. Why have you tricked me?" "It's not our custom here to marry off our younger daughter ahead of the firstborn," Laban replied. "But wait until the bridal week is over. Then we'll give you Rachel too, provided you promise to work for another 7 years for me." So Jacob agreed to work another 7 years. A week later, a week after Jacob had married Leah, Laban gave Rachel too. Laban gave Rachel a servant, Bilhah, to be her maid. So Jacob slept with Rachel too, and he loved her so much more than Leah. He then stayed and worked for Laban for an additional 7 years. You know, Laban could have said that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, there was no reason for him to, like, withhold that. Oh, Colin. NCB. What?
I think Carmen's gonna say this too. You said Rachel, and then you went to Rebecca.
Oh, Rachel. Yes, sorry.
I was just gonna say, you said
Yes, that's my fault. Sorry. Yes, Rachel.
You're just all caught up in the moment.
Yes. Rachel. So, I mean, that's messed up. Like, you're absolutely in love with this woman. You want to marry this woman. You plead and beg with her dad, let me marry her, please, let me marry her. He says, yeah, you can have her, but you gotta work for me for 7 years. But does not say that you have to marry her sister first. That's messed up. That's what you call, what was that? False advertisement. I mean, it is. I mean, that is the very first thing, recorded of false advertisement. I mean, he said, yeah, you work for 7 years, you can have her. Yeah, no. He should have said, no, you got to work for 14 years. Then you can have her.
His age.
Well, when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he enabled her to have children, but Rachel could not conceive. So Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben.
Robin.
No, not Robin. Reuben. For she said, the Lord has noticed my misery, and now my husband will love me. She soon became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Simeon. For she said, the Lord heard that I was unloved, and he has given me another son. Then she became pregnant a third time and gave birth to another son, and she named him Levi.
Imagine she has a daughter.
Wait. Named him Levi. For she said, surely this time my husband will feel affection for me, since I have given him 3 sons. Once again, Leah became pregnant and gave birth to another son.
Oh my.
She named him Judah. For she said, now I will praise the Lord. And then she stopped having children. Chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she wasn't having any children for Jacob, she became jealous of her sister. She pleaded with Jacob, give me children or I'll die. Then Jacob became furious with Rachel. Am I God? He asked. He's the one who has kept you from having children, not me. Then Rachel told him, take my maid, Bilhah, and sleep with her. She will bear children for me, and through her I can have a family too. So Rachel gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob as a wife, and he slept with her. Bilhah became pregnant and presented him with a son. Rachel named him Dan.
I feel like.
For she said, God has vindicated me. He has heard my request and has given me a son.
He might be a Bella.
Then Bilhah became pregnant again
With a son.
and gave Jacob a second son. Rachel named him Naphtali. For she said, I have struggled hard with my sister, and I'm winning.
How are you winning? You have 2 children.
It's not even
She's
yours.
4.
Meanwhile, Leah realized that she wasn't getting pregnant anymore. So she took her servant, Zilpah, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Soon, Zilpah presented him with a son.
Why are there no daughters?
Oh, listen, just wait. Leah, listen. Leah named him Gad, for she said, How fortunate I am! Then Zilpah gave Jacob a second son.
Oh my
Alright.
Just wait. And Leah named him Asher.
Oh.
For she said, "What joy is mine! Now the other women will celebrate with me." One day, during the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes growing in the field and brought them to his mother, Leah. Rachel begged Leah, "Please, give me some of your son's mandrakes." But Leah angrily replied, "Wasn't it enough that you stole my husband? Now you'll steal my son's mandrakes too?" Rachel answered, "I will let Jacob sleep with you tonight if you give me some mandrakes." So, that evening, as Jacob was coming home from the fields, Leah went out to meet him. "You must come and sleep with me tonight," she said. "I have paid for you with some mandrakes that my son found, so that he slept with Leah." Okay, so right there, do you understand what I just said? So she paid for Jacob to sleep with her, okay, using mandrakes. You guys before asked, what is prostitution? That is the exact term of what it is. You're paying someone to sleep with them. Okay? Now we're going to leave it as that. So, let's see. And God answered Leah's prayers. She became pregnant again and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. She named him Ishkar, for she said, "God has rewarded me for giving my servant to my husband as a wife." Then Leah became pregnant again
Son.
and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. She named him Zebulun, for she said, "God has given me a good reward. Now my husband will treat me with respect, for I have given him 6 sons." Later, she gave birth to a daughter
Finally!
and named her Dinah.
I should have been Diana.
Dinah. It's like that song, Dinah in the Kitchen. Anyway, then God remembered Rachel's plight and answered her prayers by enabling her to have children. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Right, now this is Rachel. Now Rachel was Jacob's favorite wife. Okay? So finally, Jacob's favorite wife is finally getting pregnant. And of all the genders, it's a boy.
Son.
Okay? So, she gave birth to a son. "God has removed my disgrace," she said, and she named him Joseph. For she said, "May the Lord add yet another son to my family." Soon after Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Please release me so I can go home to my own country. Let me take my wives and children, for I have earned them by serving you, and let me be on my way. You certainly know how hard I have worked for you." "Please listen to me," Laban replied. "I have become wealthy, for the Lord has blessed me because of you. Tell me how much I owe you. Whatever it is, I'll pay it." So now Laban is already became in realization he owes Jacob a lot. Because of Jacob, Laban got rich. Now Laban's willing to pay whatever Jacob is requesting. It's dude, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be or have what I have. What do I owe you? Jacob replied, you know how hard I've worked for you, and how your flocks and herds have grown under my care. You had little indeed before I came, but your wealth has increased enormously. The Lord has blessed you through everything I have done. But now, what about me? What can I start providing for my own family? What wages do you want? Laban asked him. Jacob replied, don't give me anything. Just do this one thing, and I will continue to tend and watch over your flocks. I don't want you to pay me anything. All I want you to do is do this one thing, and I will still continue doing it for you. Okay? Let me inspect your flocks today and remove all the sheep and goats that are speckled or spotted, along with all the black sheep. Give these to me as my wages. In the future, when you check on the animals you have given me as my wages, you'll see that I have been honest. If you find in my flock any goats without any speckles or spots, or any sheep that are not black, you will know that I have stolen from you. Okay? So he's trying to show, like, I'm going to be truthful to you. Alright? Alright, Laban said. It will be as you say. But that very day, Laban went out and removed all the male goats that were streaked and spotted, all the female goats that were speckled and spotted or had white patches, and all the black sheep. He placed them in the care of his own sons, who took them a 3 days' journey from where Jacob was. Meanwhile, Jacob stayed and cared for the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took some fresh branches of poplar, almond, and plane trees and peeled off strips of bark, making white streaks on them. And then he placed these peeled branches in the watering troughs where the flocks came to drink, for that was where they had mated. And when they had mated in front of the white streaked branches, they gave birth to young that were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated those lambs from Laban's flock, and at mating time, he turned the flock to face Laban's animals, that they were streaked or black. This is how he built his own flock instead of increasing Laban's. Okay? Kind of like what you were doing with the genetic on all the cats and stuff. That's what he's doing. Okay? He is planning the DNA, the genes and all that, to make sure that he's going to get speckled or spotted, striped animals, and that way he is increasing his own flock instead of Laban's. Okay? Whenever the stronger females were ready to mate, Jacob would place the peeled branches in the watering troughs in front of them. Then they would mate in front of the branches. But he didn't do this with the weaker ones, so the weaker lambs belonged to Laban. So, smart there, right? He's planning ahead. And the stronger ones were Jacob's. As a result, Jacob became very wealthy, with large flocks of sheep and goats, female and male servants, and many camels and donkeys. So he planned ahead. And he knew what he was doing, right? And that's the end of our lesson for today. We've already got one child passed out. I knew he wasn't gonna last this long anyway, so I'm surprised he did. But there we go. There we go. Poor guy. All right. Well, anyways, we will be back tomorrow. You guys have a great night, and God bless.
Mm.